Hello, I'm Matt Reynolds, editor of Packaging World magazine, back with another edition of Take 5. Well, I spent 2 days of last week at a virtual conference, and this was SmartPack that was hosted by Smithers. Smithers is a multinational provider of testing, consulting, information, and compliance services. And it was really a chock-full 2 days. It was every half an hour for 9 to 5 both days. So there was a ton of information. Really hard for me to distill down into 5 minutes, but I can bring you some pretty big picture findings. When we talk about smart packaging, we're really talking about two subsets of smart packaging. One would be active packaging. That would be packaging that's often in the form of time temperature indicators. So think of meat and poultry that has an indicator that actually tells you whether it's how long it's been in transit and the temperature has it maintained the cold chain. As you can imagine, there's a lot of pharmaceutical applications as well, especially in vaccine distribution, which we know quite well in the last 20 months. The other side of smart packaging, which I'll get into a little more closely here, is more consumer facing, and that's what I would call intelligent packaging. Intelligent packaging is usually in the form of, it's alphabet soup, but it's either the QR code, the RFID code, or the near field communication NFC code, which is a subset of RFID. Like I said, alphabet soup. But what you need to know is that there are applications upstream in the supply chain for distribution and so on, and garnering information as a product moves through the supply chain, all the way down to the consumer-facing last mile person in a store with a smartphone or in their own home with a smartphone interacting with a product. A recent breakthrough on the consumer-facing side of the intelligent packaging front has been Apple's decision to no longer require any specific software or apps or anything to be able to access QR codes in the wild. So basically, it's just holding up your smartphone with your camera feature, and it will whisk you away to whatever microsite that the brand deems necessary. That used to be a big hurdle, but again, that friction, those conditions of attendance are being reduced over time. And QR, we've seen over the course of the pandemic, has become our new access point to menus in a food service situation. So that really brings adoption to the fore. People who'd never seen a QR code before are now aware of it and know how to use it. And to a lesser extent, that's also true of all of the other technologies that come with intelligent packaging, like NFC and RFID. Well, we just heard about a few reasons why intelligent packaging is gaining steam, but let's look at the big picture and look at some larger consumer trends that are at play that might factor into this. One of them is the generational change towards Millennials and Generation Z. We spent a lot of time on this program talking about how they're looking for ways to connect with brands and to seek out and actively engage with brands that share their values. But there's only so many ways that brands can do this. First of all, there's the actual physical packaging itself, which can serve as a billboard, but then there's social media channels, and there's purchased advertising. One presentation at SmartPack really illustrated, given the very cluttered nature of the existing channels of communication, how intelligent packaging can really help out brands. And that was a presentation by Ian Clow. He's the director of growth and design at a firm called Blue Byte. That's a consumer experience and branding agency. So his presentation, first of all, set the stage that I just set, what the situation is with Millennials and Generation Z and their expectation for brands, but also the rise of intelligent packaging. And think of what you can do with intelligent packaging in terms of being able to introduce complementary products. His example might be a product like a shampoo. Well, you could directly communicate via QR code and possibly discount a complementary product like a shampoo or hand soap or body wash or whatever that might be. Think about, also I mentioned there's upstream capability with intelligent packaging, for track and trace and being able to know, for distribution, to know where that product is along the way by reading QR codes or NFC and so on. Well, the consumer can actually benefit from that information as well. Consider coconut water. Well, a consumer these days, particularly Generation Z, might want to know where that coconut came from and whether it was sustainably grown. Well, we can find that out, and a consumer could potentially, via QR code, using information built in from the supply chain, know that this coconut was grown 6 months ago in Thailand, and know that it was on a sustainable type of farm. So all that's information that's very it's pertinent to today's consumer. And finally, it's a matter of getting data and consumer information from your direct consumer. Right now, you've got that black box of the retailer that's standing in between you and your consumer. This is a way for you to even do product testing, market testing. Do you prefer product A or product B, flavor A, flavor B, and get that direct interaction directly with your consumer. So a lot of big reasons for brands to jump on board the train here, the intelligent packaging train. Some pitfalls to avoid too. Once you have that QR code on a product, that's there forever, and a person can interact with that forever. So keep in mind, this is going to be a big investment of time to create content and to continue to deliver pertinent content. But the reasons are there to better connect with your consumer, one-to-one with no intermediary, and continue to push that product growth forward. That's all the time we have for today's Take 5.